Oh, sweet goodness. What a frame to release into. How's everyone doing? How are you doing? How are you doing? You doing well, I hope? Hopefully well. Hopefully well. Welcome to the lunch news. Lunch brigade. We're here to go over the software engineering news during our lunch break. I'm glad you guys could join me. We have some good stuff to go over today. Some stuff to follow up with. Yeah, I'll give just a few more minutes for people to filter in. Maybe not a few minutes. Don't have all the time in the world. But we will give just another second or two. All right. Let's see. We'll give to the end of the minute. To the end of the minute. So just a reminder, at the beginning of June, those first 2 weekends, we're going to have a choppy stream schedule. So just a reminder, and I'll remind you guys as we get closer. Now, we're going to make up for it because we have, coming after that, at the end of July, we're going to do the AI games, the AI Olympics, effectively. The summer games are going to be upon us. We're going to do a Friday and a Saturday. I don't have the exact weekend yet, but when I do, I'll let you know. I'm also going to look for some guests to join me while doing it. So it should be a lot of fun. Hopefully we get a couple people that you guys might know to join me and put these AIs to the test. All right. I think that's enough filler. Let's get into the news. We only have an hour and a half. Only an hour and a half. All right. So I know that, what was it? Tuesday evening, we were talking about the importance of the executive teams in these software companies to ensure that they don't actually give off the wrong feeling to the software engineers about security. Well, about a lot of things, but security is one of those things. And I wanted to point this out because this came after, or I saw it after that conversation. And, you know, there's a lot of ways that this could go wrong and it be done poorly. Like there'll be a lot of details in the execution of it, but I think it's a right step or a step in the right direction. So Microsoft releases blog post May 3rd. We launched the Secure Future Initiative. All right, but what this is doing 2 things. First, just by the words of it, if you read through it, basically executives' pay are going to be linked to meeting security initiatives, or at least some portion of their pay package. I don't know the exact amount, but some portion of their pay package is going to be linked directly to meeting those initiatives. Now, the second thing that this does that we talked about the other day was this directly gives engineers, the Tuesday we talked about how just scanning the entire security team gives the engineers this impression that security is less important than shipping more features. And the security of those features isn't important. And thus, there's going to be shortcuts and things taken over time. So the other really important thing that this does is it tells the engineers that security is a big thing, and it's going to make the executives push on their teams that security. So it's going to be this trickle down effect where everybody is saying, hey, we've got to do security, and it's important. Now, obviously, the execution could be poor. So we'll see how the execution lands. But I like the concept. In this day and age, security has to be top priority. So I'm gonna post this in chat. You guys can read it. They have these 6 pillars, basically talking about the most important things, which is protect identities and secrets. Yeah. We could go over them. It's not that big of a deal. It's pretty basic stuff, but all right. Let's move on. Let's move on to something a little bit more fun. Do you know what's more fun than talking about security at the corporate level? Talking about another 0-day Google bug. Patch your Chrome or Chrome derivative. All right, yeah. Let's move on from that. That can make us all sad. We like to poke fun at Microsoft for having so many security vulnerabilities. I don't know how Chrome gets away with it, because Chrome has by far the most extreme security vulnerabilities out there. All right. Let's talk about this, though. The new XM cyber research, 80% of exposures are from misconfiguration. Less than 1% are from CVEs. Less than 1% are from CVEs. Now, there is a full report that you can go and download. I didn't download it because it's behind. It's behind a... usually I do this for you guys, but I didn't have the time or effort to do it this time. But it is definitely behind. We can get it if you guys want, but I think that this is actually a really big problem that we're not talking about. We have really good things to protect us from CVEs. So if you can rebuild your application really quickly and easily and deploy it easily, you can leverage something like Chain Guard and basically get rid of all CVEs in your application. Basically get rid of all of them. Getting rid of CVEs while it's work is not really difficult. Do you know what we don't have good tooling for? Not yet, at least. Misconfigurations. I don't think we have a good tool. There's some for Kubernetes specifically. There's some for XYZ specifically. But usually your architecture isn't one thing only. You use Kubernetes in GKE with GKE stuff, and maybe you're using OpenAI, and you tie a bunch of things together. And misconfiguring is easy, and there's not a good tool for it. That's a yeah. Anyways, I feel like this is accurate. Accurate. All right. Last thing, a new Wi-Fi vulnerability enables networks eavesdropping via downgrade attacks. This is where basically they trick you into connecting to a different Wi-Fi with the same SSID. This is why personally my Wi-Fi doesn't broadcast its SSID and is an invite-only network. I have a guest network for people that are coming over and visiting, but this is a real threat and is why I don't do any type of anything on a network that I don't own or my work doesn't own. Because if you don't, you're very vulnerable to man-in-the-middle attacks. Very vulnerable. Just a good reminder. That's it for security. Did you guys see anything else in security this week? Anything else? Moment of silence. for all you security fans. I know there's a bit of delay. There wasn't a whole lot. Those were the only ones that I saw. I thought they were interesting. I actually really want to talk about the Microsoft one. I might do a live video on the Microsoft one because I think it's such an important thing to make it important at the highest level. So I think we'll probably do a video on it. Like I said, I'm not commenting on the execution. There's a lot that can go wrong with the execution, but the concept, the idea, I like it. All right, so last news at lunch, we talked about how Google laid off basically Flutter, Dart, and Python teams. And these were big open source teams, and they were effectively laid off a lot of them, a lot of the core maintainers of those things. This is really interesting because a couple days later, just what, 3 days later? 3 days after laying off their Flutter, Dart, and Python teams, I guess they were done with it. Flutter 3.22 and Dart 3.4 are the final releases of these projects, and they're released. And they actually brought some pretty cool things. So they brought really good support for WASM, for Flutter and Dart, to target WASM. They brought some improvements to those things, brought improvements to running on different devices. It's really sad that they laid off these teams. This is very interesting to me. That was just a little segue of news. That was in the Flutter Dart segment. What do you guys think? Good segment, right? Good segment. Anything else that you guys would like to add to Google laid off and then announcing one of their biggest releases of those two platforms? All right, we'll move on to AI ML. They haven't said the projects are dead. Nope, you're absolutely right. They haven't said that the projects are dead. They just let the teams go. They don't have developers working on them, but they're not dead. That's, probably, it's a weird statement. But you're not wrong. All right, so we have some AI news. The AI battles are heating up, and I'm really excited about the summer games. I have this feeling that these games are the games where we actually have an AI that passes. Like, there's a possibility that there's an AI out there now that passes the is it useful? Because so far, we haven't really found an AI that's been useful. Copilot has been the least harmful. Maybe not even, the least harmful. And in some cases useful. Like some edge cases, we found some use for it. But I'm hopeful. This summer games, end of July, beginning of August, we have a real battle on our hands. Maybe Devin is maintaining them. You're actually right, Russell. They probably just used Devin. Seems reasonable. So yeah, we'll do some more news on that later about the AI games. I'm very excited about them. When I get dates nailed down, we'll have them, but it's going to be a Friday and a Saturday. We'll probably do like 8 hours each, and I'm prepping some game material for them. All right, let's get back to it. So OpenAI had some more turmoil in the upper ranks. Now, if you remember, like 6 months ago, there was an ouster of the CEO, Sam Altman, and then there was the re-ouster, the unouster. There was a there was a Git cherry pick where they just basically undid that piece of history. They did a revert. They did a revert real quickly to get Sam Altman back. But one of the key players in Sam's ouster has now walked away. Ilya, the chief scientist at OpenAI, has stepped down following Ilya's leverture exit. Following his exit, I don't know how to pronounce this person's name. I'm not even perfectly honest that I know Ilya's name. Ilya's? Yeah, I think it's Ilya's. Ilya's and like I said, don't know. But this was their chief persons officer. I don't know what that actually does. Chief people officer. I'm assuming it's effectively HR stuff. Has resigned following Ilya's leverture. Yeah. Okay. So I'm a hopeful optimist, Russell. You're probably more correct that One Star Coder will more likely write a follow up to its love sonnet. It's gonna write a trilogy, but I'm hopeful that one of these passes the games. I'm hopeful. I keep doing the games. All right, let's move on from this because the battles are heating up. So Gemini released a new update with faster models, longer context, and AI agents. So their context is, you know, getting up there. They say the context can support, go back. 2 hours of videos, 22 hours of audio, 60,000 lines of code. So probably not enough for JavaScript, but you know, most projects other than JavaScript, or 1.4 million words. So they're expanding the size of their context that they're able to interpret, as well as making it faster because it is terribly slow. So hopefully Gemini will be on the docket for our testing at the end of July, and we'll be doing some testing. The 3 AI problem. I don't hate it. We'll have to do a 3 AI problem emoji for the games. We always release a new emoji for every single game. So we'll come up with a new emoji with the 3 AI problem. I like it. All right. That being said, on the heels of this, actually, I don't know which one came first. Was it the chicken or the egg? This is the 14th. This is the 3rd. So Google released this the day after ChatGPT 4.0. I don't know if this is like a 4.0, but it's not actually the first release of 4.0. Now, what I have to say after using it a bit, people claim like it's so much better and everything, but they do that with every single release. This feels like the most fine iteration to me. Between ChatGPT 4 and 4.0, 4.0 is a little faster. Accuracy is not that noticeable to me. Honestly, it's not that big of a difference to me. I haven't asked it anything where I was like, wow, you know, and I've only played around with it a little bit. Now, that being said, they did release a phone app that I was going to talk about, so you can get it on your phone, and it is the first really multi-model where it has audio, vision, and text. So these are some things to maybe try out. I haven't tried the audio and vision out. The text is incremental at best. 4.0 is the best scoring. So this is my thing. You know, Llama beat... The scores mean very little. I'm just going to leave it at that. We've done enough of these AI games. We found ones for a while. There was a couple that were scoring better than ChatGPT, and ChatGPT always practically did better, even despite the scoring. So, yeah, don't hold too much on synthetic benchmarking. Oh, Russell, we were going along the same lines. All right, talking about AI, Stack Overflow users sabotage their post after OpenAI deal. So the moral of the story here is, don't trust anything on Stack Overflow at this point. And there's kind of good reason. So a lot of users put time and effort to making Stack Overflow the thing that it is. And Stack Overflow never compensated those people. But Stack Overflow is really a thing because of the knowledge everyone poured into it. And now I understand that Stack Overflow has to continue to survive, so they have to make money, and that's fine. But what they did was they sold your knowledge. Now, this is different than selling an ad on the same page. They're selling your post to the AI companies. So your knowledge on whatever it is to the AI companies without compensating you, without checking with you, without voting on it. And it's a tricky problem. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I know exactly how they should have gone about it. It's a tricky problem, but that is what happened. Now, Stack Overflow is very much punishing people who change their own answers. The answers they put down. So don't change your answer or be threatened to be banned from the platform. I think if I could just do this as a little bit of a retrospect, better communication, have a way to compensate people for their work, for their contributions. Because I think that's the big thing. People were freely giving their advice, their knowledge, and it rubs them the wrong way. A little bit better communication. That usually goes a long way. That will be amazing if the AI responds to things with duplicate question, closing post. That will be amazing. Statistically, that's what your answer should be. Statistically. Oh boy. All right. Let's talk about the clouds. We have a little bit of cloud news going on here. So there was a big deal at GCP. And I have always said, if you provide a calendar application and you go offline for an hour and then you come back, that's not good. It's not good, but it's okay. It's okay. If you're a database provider or somebody that is storing the data, it is much worse if you lose that data. Much, much worse. The cost to restore from backups is expensive. And, if you're running it, let's just say you're a full GCP startup. All you do is all your stuff on GCP. Do you have backups on another platform? Do you? I'm asking you. Do you? A lot of the times, I bet you the answer would be no. Now, there's a lot of mystery that's surrounding this because there's been such poor explanations of what went wrong. And this is where I'm going to call on GCP with all my power of 4 viewers to rectify this, because they should. They absolutely should. A joint statement from Unisuper CEO Peter Chern and Google Cloud CEO Thomas Curran. Now, this has been validated as a joint statement. So this is an official joint statement from GCP and Unisuper. Unisuper. I can't say the stupid name. Anyways, they get it. No offense on your name. I just have troubles pronouncing uni and then super in the same. Anyways, let's move on. Let's talk about what happened. Their accounts got deleted. Now, what that exactly means, we don't know, because this is so vague. This is all the text. This is all the text. All of it. For an entire, 2 days of outage, and they had to recover most of their data from a third system. And it's poorly worded at best. They use things like Unisuper's private cloud subscription, which isn't a thing in GCP, but there is a VMware subscription that's called private cloud. So that's most likely what they're talking about. And then they go on to talk about duplication in two geographies. This isn't a thing they have regions, but they don't say it's worded really weird because these things don't actually map to GCP things. So there are investigations by other people that I'm going to post this one. This is probably the most, I disagree with this person's end take. But he did a pretty good investigation into mapping what those two things could be. And he, at the end of it, comes down to basically that Unisuper ran Terraform apply and deleted their clouds. They deleted their accounts because they did say that their accounts were deleted. Like their whole accounts were deleted, but that's actually vague too on whether they actually deleted their accounts or not. The other thing that's weird about this is if you look at, this person's take here, they basically blame Unisuper. But I don't think that this is where I think that this is wrong. And the only reason I say that is GCP wouldn't sign off on this. That puts the blame on Google Cloud, because this strongly puts the blame on Google Cloud. So what really happened? I don't know. But I can tell you, I feel way less safe running on GCP without a full explanation with a full write-up. And hopefully they're working on that. Hopefully they're working on that. And it's not to throw anybody under the bus. Obviously, there was mistakes made by some team. And it might have been the Unisuper had a Terraform script that was slightly misconfigured, and there was protections on GCP that failed to protect from doing something catastrophic like that. And that's fine, but we need to know, and we need to know what protections are being put in place, because if not, I could never recommend GCP. Like, to not know that information is worse than just trying to hide it as it is. They need to come out and clarify. All right. Oh, we have an ad break. Perfect. We'll wait for the ad break. I always forget to run it at the start. That's my bad. I wish we had the games. I wish we had the games. I've been devoting more time to our backend stuff. We're getting the Twitch alerts portion of it, but the ad break game should be coming. The cool thing is, and one thing that I think I'm going to do is, did you guys know that like there are events for ads? And I think that I could actually make it where I listen, like, since it's running, I should be able to like have a script that runs on my computer and flip over into a game automatically when an ad happens. Oh, Russell. Oh, Russell, you're trying to get me in trouble. Oh, Russell. I was going to type something, but I don't know how to say you're lying without just saying you're a liar. That's all I'm saying. Oh, that was good. That was fairly good. Well, thanks, Russell. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Our cone of silence, our cone of subscriber silence is ending in about 31 seconds. All right. Welcome back. Now, as we were just starting into our cloud discussion, we're going to move on from we actually have a piece of Oracle news coming in 2 more seconds. 2 more seconds, the Oracle news will be coming out. But right now, we're going to finish up GCP. It wasn't all bad. Although, again, I cannot recommend anybody use GCP at this point until they clarify what went wrong, what protections they put in place to ensure that doesn't happen again, and how they're going to try to prevent these types of configurations from deleting your entire cloud in the future. Now, what was this good news? Announcing Trillium, the 6th generation of Google's cloud TPUs. TPUs is their tensor processing unit. You can kind of think of them as GPUs, GPU lights. And basically the stuff that they have are geared towards running on those. So the Gemma stuff and the Imogen and Gemini are all geared towards running on their Trillium processors really well. And supposedly, they're super energy efficient, meaning that they should cost you less to run. I haven't actually looked at the pricing of these things yet. They're usually big, beefy machines, so while I say cheaper for you, they're usually pretty expensive. Now, we're going to see later on, this hardware battle's heating up. Microsoft was not sitting idly behind while they release these. Are the TPUs going to refuse to delete things? Hopefully. That's all I can say right now is hopefully. Hopefully, the TPUs refuse to delete things. All right. the last thing that came from GCP that wasn't a disaster story. That's not the right. No, okay. I did have it. Maybe the T is for Terraform. We have a Terraform story. Very interesting. We have a Terraform Oracle story. Stay tuned for that. All right, introducing the Verified Peering Provider Program, a simple alternative to direct peering. So direct peering is something that only the few brave to actually do when you really needed a very, very fast edge network. These are designed for carrier level network operators, and basically they required a lot of work. To help solve these challenges, we're excited to announce the Verified Peering Provider, or the VPP program. That's when you not going to say it. A new offering that simplifies the connectivity to Google's network. So before this, and probably still at this point, Cloudflare's is probably the easiest to use and the fastest that I've ever used. They probably have the most premium net. That is like their bread and butter, how they make money. I know they have other stuff, but that is what made them stand out. That's what made them their money. That's what Cloudflare does. You know, in my mind, if you ask me what Cloudflare does, it does this. But other clouds are catching on and helping provide these. Now, if you're around for tomorrow, I have a short video I'm going to record called "The Edge is a Lie." I think you should stick around for that. Well, don't stick around because it's happening tomorrow, but you should join tomorrow for "The Edge is Alive," or catch it on my Bytes channel afterwards. Because yeah, we're going to talk about the edge, and it will be good. It'll be good. Now, we talked about these Trillium 6th generation TPUs, and Microsoft supposedly, I say supposedly because I didn't find actual Microsoft statements saying this. I found TechCrunch is the only source. They say they have learned, but they have not said how. So I'm not guaranteeing it. And I did try to validate it. I Googled some and I asked ChatGPT 4.0 if Cobalt 100 chips are coming to Microsoft next week. And the answer is nobody knows except for TechCrunch and Microsoft. But these are Microsoft's attempt at AI-based chips. I believe these are ARM chips that are going to be designed for AI. I don't know. I say AI, but they might also be general compute as well. But these are Azure's attempt at these types of chips. And so the competition is really heating up. I know that NVIDIA is still, king of the hill, still up there with their GPUs, but there's actually some real competition that is out there now. I kind of want Terraform Protection Unit on a shirt. Like TPU double equals Terraform Protection Unit. I almost want that on a shirt. That is fantastic, Russell. Thank you. All right. Let's get on to some real hard facts that were released by Azure themselves. So they're introducing GPT 4.0. Obviously, they're the ones that provide GPT stuff. So if you're in Azure and you want to call ChatGPT 4.0, you don't have to do all of the configuration for a different API provider. It's built into Azure for you. Good for you. Azure Front Door Server Variable Enhancement General Availability. There was actually, I'm not going to go over all of them. There was actually a lot of stuff released on Azure Front Door in the last week with different enhancements. So if you're using Azure Front Door, I recommend you go through their updates and look at them. Front Door is their security for your API, and it got a bunch of this is the second week in a row where there's been stuff released for it. So again, go check it out. I just clicked on one just to remind me to talk about Front Door. There was several others about it. So go check that out. And then the general availability of Ubuntu 24.04 long-term. I don't know that this was really newsworthy. It's the first cloud that I've seen to support it, so I gave it a shout out. Good job, Azure. Let's jump into AWS. Amazon Titan image generator model in Amazon Bedrock, now generally available. To be honest, everything that I've seen, I haven't used AWS's AI stuff, but everything I've seen is not great. But Amazon Titan image generator is generally available. So if you're in AWS, it's probably better than anything I've ever made. So I would check it out. The other thing is the application load balancer launches IPv6 only support for internet clients. So they're still super strongly pushing their IPv6 only, and it now allows you to provision load balancers without IPv4 for clients that can connect to just IPv6. That's cool. So basically, you can still create dual stack ALBs without IPv4s, or you can do it with IPv4s, but you're going to pay for them, remember. And at this point, you can do it where you can't accidentally provision IPv4s. So that's pretty nice. This protects you from accidentally doing something that's going to cost you a lot of money. All right. So I'm putting this in the cloud news because it's Oracle, but it was probably a win for open source. I don't know. I expect to hear your guys' thoughts on it. But there was this seemingly innocent post by Oracle that has huge ramifications for both the open source community as well as HashiCorp. Or IBM now. EBS Cloud Manager 24.111 now available. Our latest Oracle e-Business Suite EBS Cloud Manager update is now available. This sounds innocent. It sounds like, oh, we're going to get some stuff. But if you look at it, in this release, we have switched from Terraform to OpenTofu due to the forthcoming Terraform licensing changes. You must therefore upgrade your cloud manager to 24.111 by June 30th, 2024. Now, I don't know that anybody on my channel actually uses Oracle Cloud. So, this isn't a big deal as far as you actually have a deadline to upgrade by that's actually pretty short as enterprise goes. Telling people that they have a month is not really a month and a half, is not really a lot of time. But this has a lot more implications. This has a lot more implications than just this. You use Oracle Cloud to enter time cards? Oh gosh. Can you tell me the difference between a record and a CNAME record? Oh, a record. Double A record. Anyway, sorry. And a CNAME record, I read, but yeah, we could talk about that. Actually, the chosen one, I have a Discord channel. I should probably do a channel just for video topics. But one of the things that I'm trying to do, and what we will do on Friday, or tomorrow on Saturday, is I do these things and I have these topics. So tomorrow we're talking about Kubernetes does not scale, basic scaling, and the edge is a lie. We also have a short Kubernetes lesson. We also have a Rust lesson. And in the morning we'll do just some random Rust. So, and we'll be recording those to go on my YouTube channel. One of my YouTube channels. So, those type of questions are really great because what I'd love to do is just record the answer. And because if people are having that, I'll go over all the type of DNS records are out there and what they are. I'll just make a video of it. So, you know what? Let's put that as a distributed systems. Yeah, DNS is distributed systems. So we'll do DNS records. I can't promise it for tomorrow. If I get the time to put the effort into it, I will. But yeah. Tomorrow, same time? No. I stream for much longer. This is just my lunch break news. On Fridays, we just talk news. We just talk news on lunch break. So it's only an hour and a half. Tomorrow, I start at roughly 9:30 Eastern Standard Time, and I stream till 2 or 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. All right. But yeah, you can go ahead, hit that follow button, and you'll get notified, or you can get notified if you like. Let's move back on to the news. And thanks for the follow. That's an AI-powered custom message just for you. Let's get back to the news. So I actually think that this has a lot of weight. I don't know that a ton of people use Oracle Cloud. It's not one of the really big ones, and we don't follow it really closely, but it is big enough that this is an important piece of information, and I think it has a lot of implications for how quickly people might go vegan. It's about the last time you guys are going to hear me say that. Like I said, the chosen none. The chosen none. That makes it sound like N-U-N, not N-O-N-E. But the chosen none. I don't know that I'll get to the DNS records because I can do a couple of them off the top of my head. Then there's a couple that I want to, if we're going to actually make a video for it, I want to draw up some charts and stuff for people. The other thing is all of that is open source. So all of these drawings over here are open source, and they're committed to a library. I haven't committed these things because they're not, I haven't recorded the video for them. And I don't want you guys to get a peek. I don't want you guys to get a peek, but I'll push them tomorrow. All right. So that was it for our cloud news. What do you guys think about OpenTofu? Has anybody adopted OpenTofu yet? I know I haven't. Licensing changes don't affect me that much with what I do. But if cloud providers start pushing that, it might be a thing. No, you haven't used OpenTofu? I still think it's a dumb name. I think it's a dumb name. But naming's hard, so I try not to... I find myself judging naming so much, and yet I'm so bad at it too. I'm such a hypocrite. Yep, I'm a hypocrite. Let's move on to the final topics that we have. An exciting announcement from the open source, the Linux Foundation, crossed my table, which I was excited about. So the Linux Foundation announces the launch of the High Performance Software Foundation. Today, the Linux Foundation, the nonprofit organization enabling mass innovation through open source, is excited to announce the launch of the High Performance Software Foundation, or HPSF. Through the series of... Okay, so, we can talk about this. SPAC is probably the most interesting project that I've seen here. I don't know Aptainer. Wait, Singularity. I do know Singularity. Okay, never mind. It's changing its name. Oh, okay. So Singularity is changing to Aptainer. Okay, cool. This is also interesting. So SPAC and Aptainer are probably the most interesting projects. And to be honest, it's not even the projects themselves, but the emphasis on making this more available to people, making it where there's a place for these types of open source projects to go, and where there's a group of people who are knowledgeable in these things that are going to help drive them and push them forward. So, you know, some of these are interesting, and we can do videos on them, but I think for me personally, it's that the Linux Foundation is putting time and money and effort into this. So. Okay, so reclaiming CPU for free with Go's profile guided optimization. Now, I generally love Cloudflare blog posts, and I want to tell you, take this one with a grain of salt. I think it's good, and I think there's stuff you can learn from it, but also I tend to look at optimizations as something you as an engineer have to do. And that's why, tomorrow we're going to talk about basic scaling. We're going to do basic optimization in the future as well. We're going to do some things on debugging for optimization and those types of things, because a lot of optimization goes to understanding your data. And I know I feel like a broken record when I say that, but everybody's data is different. And when your data is different, your workflows are different, your services are different. They process data differently because your data is different. Your use case is different. And so you can never take optimization in a blanket statement. Now, this is interesting because it's talking about Pogo in Go, which I actually think is a really useful tool. So the profile guided optimization, or Pogo in the Go compiler, allows basically to help guide the compiler in optimizing the inlining of functions and stuff. And so what it basically does, so they go in the observability team, they do some service. How does Pogo work? Pogo itself is not a Go-specific tool, although it's relatively new. Pogo allows you to take CPU profiles from a program running in production and use it to optimize the generated assembly for that program. Now, this is like really important, and what I wish they emphasized more was the fact that it needs to be running with your data, not somebody else's. Sorry, I hit my mic. Not somebody else's data, not locally, not with test data. You actually probably need to do this with production data. And the reason is this goes into like, what does it inline? What does it branch prediction and things like that. And if your data follows a certain path, it allows it to optimize it for your data. This is what they should have talked about the entire time, was like what it's doing is basically watching your real data and optimizing it for it. What happens, and what can very much happen for you, is that you optimize it for the wrong data. You optimize it for things that aren't going to make as much of a big deal. So anyways, that's one of the things. The other things is how to judge whether you actually earn a 2% savings. I can tell you from running in the cloud for years and years and years, you can see a 2% difference hour to hour, not day to day. There's a 2% difference with the exact same workload, hour to hour, minute to minute. I say a 5% change in cloud means nothing. Absolutely nothing. You can't tell anything from that. So you either need a very big savings, or you need to be to get a 2% savings. To actually be able to verify that is very difficult. And usually requires a long period of time. And understanding your workload. That's actually a really good thing. Like understanding how heavy your workload currently is. So anyways, go check it out. If you write Go, Russell has the best Go optimization tool. The best Go optimization tool, if you're really looking to optimize your Go, there's one even better than Pogo, and that is this one. One second. I just screwed up the joke. This one right here, this is probably the best Go optimizer out there. So it does take a little bit of work to, adopt it to your Go code base, but it's time well spent. All right. Meta will shut down workspaces for It's tool for businesses. I don't know. I'm announcing it. I don't know that anybody used. Why did Meta try to get into the business space? I don't know. But it is shutting it down. So, good rinse. And we're moving on. The last thing for today is that VMware Fusion Pro 13 goes free for personal use. Here's how to get it. You can Google how to get it. I was gonna say Meta shuts down Workplace. It is what it is. I don't know. Did anybody use it? I honestly have never heard of somebody using Workspace. Like, Google has their suite, and I know it's used well. I know Microsoft has their suite, and it's used well. I've never heard of MetaWork. I reported it, and I think a lot of people use Fusion. So Fusion 13 will be free for personal use, which is cool. You run Linux. This isn't a big deal for me. I run my stuff in KVM. But that was it. Did I miss anything in the news today? We still have half an hour. I can take an hour and a half for lunch. I don't. Every day today, I've taken like a 20-minute lunch. And this is actually pretty normal for me. So, hour and a half lunch on Fridays. It's fine. It's Friday. Meta Cloud win. Okay, so Russell, if Meta wanted to get into business, I think a cloud would have been way better than like a Teams or whatnot. Like trying to compete with those would be harder than the cloud. And I'll give you like some examples because like your cloud can be super dumb and simple. Meta has Llama 3. You could have made Llama 3 as an API endpoint, and that's the Meta Cloud. And then you can simply add little dumb services to that as you build it out. You don't have to start with VMs. You don't have to start with the hard stuff, shared compute. If I had been the chief product officer, probably who would have been in charge of that. If I had been that person, that would have been my ticket into businesses. Yeah. I would have started with the AI stuff, made my own cloud with that. That's probably where I would have started with, but who am I? I'm Merrick Counts. It was good seeing you. Join tomorrow. I have quite a bit of stuff planned. We have basic scaling, maybe DNS records. The edge is a lie, and Kubernetes does not scale. We also have a very short lesson in configuring Kubernetes that I'm ready to do with config maps. We have a Rust lesson that we're going to do, although the Rust lesson is actually going to be really short. I'm hoping to be like only a half an hour. Those have been kind of going over. I'm trying to shorten them down just a little. It's so hard to do quickly. And, in the morning, before we get into any of this, we're probably going to sit and we're going to try to make HTMX work. I'm giving it my best effort. I know that I've been super critical of it with just the to-do app that we built. And at this point, I've been trying to do a real project with it, and I've hit some real roadblocks. I want to get it working because I would love to have put enough effort in for the creator to come and join me on stream and talk about some of the things that I've had to deal with. Yeah. Who knows if that will actually happen, but yeah. No, this is not a hot dog. It's not a hot dog. But remember that I have a video on my main YouTube channel coming out that actually talks about hot dogs. And you will understand what I mean when you watch it, when it comes out. But it does talk about hot dogs. and how they relate to software engineering. So that should be pretty exciting. What I was talking about here, which you guys, I think a lot of people actually missed because it was the most important, so I did it at the beginning when no one was watching, was that Microsoft did this. This was a part of the security bit where they launched the Secure in Future initiative and basically directly tied CEOs, or not CEOs, but C-suite level staff members pay to putting security first. And now on Tuesday night, we actually had this conversation about how when a CEO makes a decision to cut the security, it does two things. One, if they cut the security team altogether, and let's say they put some automated tools in here, but they do two things. In theory, they make themselves less secure immediately by not having that security team. If that security team was being effective and not fired because they weren't being effective, those are two different things. If they were being effective, you're a little bit less secure. The security teams are going to do, or the security tools are going to do something. They should, at least. But you're going to be a little less secure immediately. But the big issue is the message this tells your C-suite, the message this tells your engineers, the message this tells your product officers. This is the problem, because what you've said is that security is the less important thing here. So you can push out more features, less secure is a good thing. Here's my thumbs up. Is a good thing. And that means over time, you will lose all your security. And you're putting your customers' data out there. That's like the oath software engineers. You know how doctors like take an oath to not do any harm and whatnot? We should take a oath to protect our customers' data as best we can. And that means putting the utmost on security, but it starts at the top. And if the CEO is making these types of decisions, they're giving the wrong thing. Anyways, so that being said, my statement was, I like that they're putting this on the C-suite and directly tying their pay to it to meet these security objectives. And they have these 6 pillars, protect identities and secret, protect tenants and isolate production systems, protect networks, protect engineering systems, monitor and detect threats, accelerate the response and remediation. These are like the pillars that they're looking for metrics that are going to tie directly to these people's pay. Now, obviously, they could implement this terribly. Like I'm just seeing some C-suite level person firing their entire team, and like putting in like these like super like competitive games where they like. Anyways, the implementation could be terrible, but I like how from the CEO down, security is getting pushed as a priority. And I think that's really good. So that was what the hot dog was for. Right. Russell, this is where implementation is huge. Bad C-suite people are about to start hiding security breaches. Obviously, that should be a fireable offense. I mean, and I don't mean a fireable as like you can fire them. Like that should be an immediate resignation if you hid a like, yes. So it was a hot dog. Look, I'm working on editing the next YouTube video. It definitely talks about hot dogs in that. You will see, and you'll see how hot dogs relate to computer science there. How are the new people that just joined? How are you guys doing? We just wrapped up our news. So every week, Friday at lunch for me, high noon, we talk about the news. We talk about software engineering and what's happened in the last week of software engineering. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you, Cool Blue Bird and by MD Fury for joining. You guys are first-time chatters, at least, whether this is the first time here. It's good to see you guys. All right. Thank you so much. I don't usually raid somebody after the stream, but we have enough people here. Or I don't usually raid after the news, but we'll raid somebody after the news. Who do we raid? RWX Rob is doing GitHub Actions stuff. So we'll slide over and check out what RWX Rob is doing. All right, everyone, go say hi to RWX Rob. Does some great work. If you want to learn Go, he's probably the place to be, probably the place to go. I will see you guys tomorrow for some awesome streams, hopefully. And thanks, everyone, and have a fantastic week.